She stood there, her sisters on either side like a jury already convinced of my guilt, her eyes sharp with venom. The suitcase I had packed earlier was ripped open, my clothes scattered across the wet street. Shirts clung to the pavement, jeans soaking up the muddy rainwater, shoes rolling toward the gutter. I bent down to pick them up, but before I could, she shoved me hard enough to stumble. "Go ahead," she spat, her nails dragging down my face as she clawed at me. I felt the sting instantly, blood beating under the surface. Her sisters gasped in unison, though none of them stepped in. Instead, they watched, their glares telling me exactly whose side they'd chosen. She smirked, cruel and triumphant, and said, "Call the cops if you want. They'll believe me, not you." The words hit harder than her nails. She knew exactly how to play the game, how to twist a scene, how to turn victims into villains and villains into victims. I had lived with it for too long. The manipulation, the lies, the late-night absences. I had told myself she was stressed, that her temper was just pressure from work. But deep down I had known. Her phone turned face down, her sudden showers before bed, the smell of cologne that wasn't mine. And yet here I was, standing in the street with my belongings scattered, the sting of her scratches burning my skin, while she dared me to call for help. I didn't answer. I just stayed silent. My silence wasn't weakness. It was survival. I knew arguing, shouting, defending myself would only feed her story. So I stood there, chest rising and falling, refusing to give her the drama she wanted. But when the police cars pulled up, their lights flashing against the windows, I felt a cold dread crawl up my spine. This was it, I thought. This was where my life could shatter. The officer stepped out, 2 men and a woman, their boots splashing in the puddles. They scanned the scene, her standing tall with her sisters flanking her, me with a bleeding scratch across my cheek, my clothes littering the street. Before I could say a word, she rushed forward, clutching her arm as if wounded. "Officers! Thank God you're here." He got violent. I had to defend myself. Her sisters chimed in immediately, nodding, gasping, adding fuel to her fire. "We saw it. He's dangerous." For a moment, I thought it was over. I thought I'd be in handcuffs before I could explain. My silence, my refusal to fight, suddenly felt like a noose tightening. But then the female officer's eyes narrowed. She stepped closer to me, examining the fresh scratches across my face. "Sir, did you do that to yourself?" "No," I said quietly. My voice cracked, but not from fear. From exhaustion. "She did." The officer turned to her. "Is that true?" She scoffed. "Of course not. Look at me. Do I look like I could hurt him? He's bigger than me." Her sisters nodded again, almost rehearsed. But the officer didn't look convinced. She glanced at the street, at the bags ripped open, the clothes thrown everywhere. She gestured toward them. "Wires things outside." Silence. My wife's mouth opened, then closed. Her sisters shifted uncomfortably. I didn't rush to fill the silence. I let it stretch, heavy and awkward. For once, her lies weren't slick enough to coat the truth. Finally, the officer spoke again. "Ma'am, I need you to step aside with me." Her protest rose quickly, high-pitched and desperate, but the officers separated us. One pulled me aside, asked me to explain. I told him everything. The affair I had discovered through late-night texts, the fights that followed, her threat tonight. I kept my voice steady, my words plain. I didn't embellish. I didn't beg. "She told me to call you." I finished softly. "Said you believe her, not me. Maybe she's right, but that's the truth." The officer studied me, then nodded. "You did the right thing staying calm." Minutes stretched into an hour. Statements were taken. Tempers flared. Her story kept shifting. By the end of it, the cracks were too wide to ignore. The officers didn't arrest her, but they didn't arrest me either. Instead, one of them handed her a warning slip. The female officer told her, in a tone colder than the rain, "If this happens again, it won't end with a warning." When they left, the street fell quiet. Her sisters glared at me as though I betrayed them, not the other way around. She stood there, shaking with rage, spitting curses under her breath. But her power had slipped. The mask she wore so easily had cracked. I gathered what was left of my clothes into the suitcase and didn't look back. My silence had protected me more than my words ever could. Days later, when I was safe at my brother's house, she texted me. A single line. I didn't mean it to go this far, but she had. She meant every word, every scratch, every lie. She had thrown me away long before that night. First for another man, then for the thrill of control. I never replied. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. And though she had promised the cops would believe her, it wasn't their belief that mattered. It was mine. I finally believed myself. I finally believed I deserved better. And that was the day I stopped being her victim.